This is Jonathan Agatha, Pro Boxing fans. We're down here in Liverpool, in one of up here in Liverpool. I am from London, on the 347.
I'm
Are you?
Yeah.
Should we just do it then?
Yeah, no,
I'll leave you.
I want to go to sleep.
We're in Liverpool, one of your most popular cities, it seems. Every time you come up here, great reception from the fans.
So, until they've had a few beers and then they just want to give me stick. No, I love it in Liverpool. I mean, I don't want to act like a tourist guide, but it's also a great place to come and stay, eat, drink, sporting occasions, great sporting city, great fight city, and I think we've got a great card on Saturday night, of course, topped by a big domestic World Championship fight.
Get on to that in a minute. I haven't caught up with you since you were out in LA at KSI-Logan Paul. Just talk to me about what that was like as an event. It was absolutely manic. Yeah. The views were incredible. What was that like being a part of that?
Absolutely fucking wild. I loved it. You know, I got so much stick when we started that event, and what I've realised and what I've learned in particularly the last 6 months is just fucking don't worry about what people say, because you got to do what you got to do. You got to make your own decisions. You got to have your own strategy. You got to be single-minded, and you got to go for the things that you believe in. So when that came up, I thought, you know what? I think this is. So I went for it, and we got so much stick. You start to think to yourself, oh, should I really be doing this? I don't know, you know. And then you do it, and it's fucking wild. And everyone says, let's do that again. Every broadcaster, that was amazing. Every reporting channel, YouTube channel, the numbers were off the planet. So I'm going to do it again. But we can only do it, in my opinion, once a year. Like that, I don't think we should start doing one a month and all this kind of stuff. But you will see other people doing it. I know there's other networks looking at it right now. So it was a great, I call it an experiment. It was a great experience.
Was that the key, sort of saving some of the talent? A lot of people saying in the build-up, why is Jake Paul not on it? Why is Anderson Gibb not on it? But is that the point? Try and save them and see how it goes again.
I wanted it to be a professional fight card with a couple of YouTubers as main event, not a YouTube card or not a load of YouTubers and stuff like that. So it wasn't really, I'll save Jake Paul for another one down the line. He may feature on one of our cards moving forward. He may not. But it just went better than we could have ever dreamed of.
Have you had an idea? I know you don't really reveal pay-per-view numbers, but what sort of numbers are we looking at? Have they exceeded any pay-per-view you've done in recent time?
Yeah, it was bigger than every pay-per-view we've done this year, outside of the one coming up in a couple of weeks, Joshua Ruiz. So massive. I mean, it was half price, you know, but it was mind-blowing. And the subscriptions on DAZN as well, massive. I mean, like, you know, more than Canelo Kovalev. So it's unbelievable.
Let's talk about this fight, this card rather. Callum Smith defending his world titles against Ryder. How important was it to get him back up in Liverpool? It's been 2 years. Important to get up. I mean, a lot of people are talking about the Anfield date. Surely that only happens if the fan base grows. Yeah,
and he wins. I mean, that's the most important thing. But you know, the great thing about the World Boxing Super Series is generally you get a shot at the title, you get paid well, but your profile suffers. So when he came out of there, although he beat George Groves, not many people saw it. So he went and boxed at Madison Square Garden. This is like the final step of improving that profile, bringing him home against a domestic mandatory challenger, not just some bloke we've picked out of the rankings and gone, oh, he seems cheaper than the rest, we'll have him. We've invested the money to bring this fight to Liverpool because it's a proper fight. You know, I represent both guys. Ryder's coming off a great run, 4 great knockouts. He's earned this position, and he's a live dog in this fight. Like you say, everyone's talking about Anfield, but this is a real fight on Saturday.
Should Callum Smith come through, as we mentioned, Anfield, type of names that are mentioned, Kovalev, Golovkin, Canelo, the same sort of thing was mentioned prior to Anthony Joshua's fight with Andy Ruiz. How confident are you that Callum Smith hasn't taken his eye off the ball?
Callum's a pro, he would have trained hard, and they rate John Ryder highly, but I see, you know, people talk about the Joshua Ruiz fight. I even see it in the Wilder-Ortiz fight. You know, people are just talking about the next fight, and sometimes you're not as ready for war as the other geezer. Like John Ryder's sitting there looking at the Ring Magazine belt, WBC, WBA, thinking, fuck me, I can win that on Saturday. This is my life. This will change my life forever. How much does Callum want it? I know he wants it, but does he want it as much as John Ryder? You know, so this is a dangerous sport where your motivation at all times has got to be as high as your opponent. Hopefully, more so. So I think it's going to be a tricky night. But I think Callum right now is the #1 super middleweight in the world, and I think he's an exceptional fighter.
Talk to me about the undercard, Crispin and Smith, Commonwealth title against Craig Glover. Yeah. Is this fight of the night?
I believe so. I mean, both guys can punch, both guys let their hands go, both guys trade with their chin in the air every now and again. I mean, you got that. You got Anthony Fowler against Harry Scarf, Liverpool against Derby. Great fight that is. I mean, underrated fight. Tennyson against Craig Evans. Great fight. British eliminator, final eliminator for the British lightweight title. And then you got Mashadod against Tom Farrell. Birkenhead against Liverpool, which is a complete 50-50. So a lot of really good 50-50 fights on the card, and of course culminating with the big one.
Callum Smith wants Anfield. Lewis Frentzen wants St James's Park. Chris Billam-Smith wants the Vitality Stadium.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Is that possible with a win?
Yeah, do you know, I really like Chris Billam-Smith, and I love the way that he lost to Riakporhe in a very close fight. Didn't come back with that 6th round. He said they're a waste of time. Well, they are, but it's also dangerous to lose 2 fights on the spin, you know? So if he wins, this is risk-reward. If he wins this fight, he's in a great position. So I'm really excited for that fight.
Is that rematch with Richie Riakporhe inevitable should he come through Jack Massey?
Yeah, it's a tough fight against Jack Massey. You know, then you've got the Lawrence Cody fight, you've got the Tommy McCarthy fight, you've got all these fights out there. So I really like Billam-Smith. I think he's an exceptional young man. I think he's a very exciting fighter. And I think, it's a total 50-50, but I'm almost certain, although I said it in the KSI-Logan Paul fight, someone's getting knocked out. Almost. Yeah.
Let's just move on to next week. Monaco, Hugh Fury returns, Cecilia Brackhouse. I spoke to Clarissa Shields at York Hall a couple of weeks back. She says she wants that Cecilia Brackhouse fight. First of all, how much are you looking forward to working with Cecilia Brackhouse?
Yeah, she's the first lady, as she calls herself. She's a sort of pioneer of women's boxing. Looking forward to seeing her fight in Monaco next week. Clarissa Shields, obviously Cecilia and Katie Taylor will happen before the Clarissa Shields fight, but who knows what's going to happen in time. You know, right now we have. I love Clarissa, and she's a great fighter. But for me, we have profile-wise the 2 biggest stars of women's boxing in Cecilia and particularly in Katie Taylor, and that's a fight we want to make.
Hughie Fury's also on the card, as we mentioned. What's sort of the plan going forward with Hughie? He lost to Povetkin. Where's he go from here?
When he signed with us, he was supposed to have the kind of fight that he's having in Monaco as his first fight. He ended up came straight in and fighting Povetkin in a good fight. So he needs to get a good win in Monaco and then move into 2020 and start gambling again. You know, he's a young man. So it's not just gamble, but he's had so many gambles at such a young age. So this is about working on things he's been working on with Peter, showcasing that and getting a good victory.
Coming up in a few weeks, needless to say, Anthony Joshua's rematch with Andy Ruiz. What are your nerves heading into it right now?
I'm shitting myself, to be honest with you, but I'm very excited. I mean...
How does he win it?
I was with him yesterday. He's like a different man. I mean, he's so up for it. He's edgy. You know, he's got that chip on his shoulder. He feels like everyone, not turned their back on him, but the supporters have sort of said, written him off. And I think that spurred him on. Doesn't mean he wins the fight, but I tell you, he's a lot more focused and a lot better prepared than he was going into the first one. So it's going to be tough. Anything can happen. It's a 50-50 fight, but I believe he's going to win. I believe he's going to knock him out.
News this week, I don't know how much you're involved in it, but the price has gone up by £5, not substantial, but it has gone up. Guess the question is why?
Just because it's one of the biggest fights of all time, I guess. I mean, I don't set the price, despite my Twitter feed and despite everyone thinking I'm the CEO of Sky and DAZN and all this other thing. I just think they've looked at it and said, this is a monstrous fight. We're going to put the price up by £4.95 or whatever it is. It's not the future price of pay-per-view, in my opinion. Obviously, KSI the other week was $9.95. $19.95 seems to be the standard price for Josh Taylor and White Rivas and Campbell Lomachenko. They've decided to increase the price for Joshua Ruiz too. Do I agree with it? I don't understand that when you've got a huge product, the price can go up, but I think it's a complete one-off.
Is there a possible reason for this, Dillian White, the addition of Dillian White? He's come out this week.
No. It's irrelevant. We have a budget for the undercard, which the Dillian White fight would fall into. We would never go to Sky and say, put the price up because we're going to put Dillian White on the card. If he fights in Saudi and it's not confirmed, it will be within the guidelines and the parameters of the undercard budget.
Just going on to Dillian White, you've mentioned in countless interviews over the last few months that you want a statement from UKAD. He's cleared to fight, but you want that statement, the clarification. If he is to fight, say, December, when can we expect sort of an announcement?
Whenever UKAD do it. Now, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, everybody wants it, and hopefully, by him fighting, I mean, he's cleared to box. He's been cleared to box at a hearing. He's got no suspensions, so he's got to fight. But you've got something to say, like, you know, if there's an issue, which there isn't because you've already cleared him, say it. Or hopefully this will spur them into actually doing something. You've just seen Ryan Martin. It took them a year to ban Ryan Martin. You know, so how long does it take to write a statement on what happened? But we know what happened. You had your hearing and you cleared this man to fight. So get on with it.
Talk to me about the undercard in Saudi Arabia. You've got Kuzmin against Hunter.
That's in, you've got Hunter against Povetkin.
Hunter against Povetkin, sorry, Kuzmin against Hergovic. It's looking like a decent undercard.
Hergovic against Molina. Yeah. But you got. I mean, hopefully you got Dillian White on the card. You got Povetkin against Hunter, great fight. Hergovic Molina, really good fight. You've got Sissoko as well, and you've also got Majidov, our Azerbaijan heavyweight, is fighting Tom Little over 8 rounds. So you've actually ended up getting like 5 heavyweight fights. It feels like I've intentionally put on a heavyweight card. I haven't, but I will say I have because I think it's a great idea.
Any announcements coming up for the new year?
Yes, imminent for our Miami show at the end of the month, California show in February, Milan show, and looking at our UK shows, particularly Manchester and possibly Sheffield early next year.
Finally, you've been here about 2.5 hours, as you said in a previous interview. What motivates you? What is it that motivates you? Is it achieving unprecedented success? What is it that motivates Eddie Hearn?
I think you mustn't ever overlook things and start looking too deeply into things. Like, you know, what is it that motivates you? You get up, you go to work, you work as hard as you can every single day, and whatever that involves, that involves. The minute you start sitting down and saying, what really motivates you? Why are you doing this? That's why all kinds of thoughts. I think that one of the problems with mental health these days is that people overlook things. People are too worried about what people think. People are, you know, analysing their lives. Just get up, deal with today. That's what you got to do. In terms of my motivation, it's to continue the legacy that my father built for our family business, basically, and for me to outperform him. Because I spent most of my life being Barry Hearn's son, and now he is Eddie Hearn's dad. So that's the motivation for me. And we're best friends, and we spur each other on. But basically, my motivation is work as hard as I can and deliver the best life for my kids and my family.
This is the absolute final one. I know in the past you've been offered to go on I'm a Celebrity. David Haye's been on it, Amir Khan. Is that something you consider?
I've been asked, and absolutely never in a million years. Thank you for the interview.
Eddie, I appreciate your time.